Hello, my name is Holly Buchanan, and today I'm going to be talking about my capstone project, which is using mindfulness to promote engagement in psychoeducational groups. During my practicum and internship experience, I was at Alexian Behavioral Health, and one of the main tasks I had was running skills groups. Since I'm also in a group-based program, the patients were in multiple groups every day, and so then getting them focused was definitely a challenge. This led me to the idea of implementing something that could help the clients to regulate before beginning group, in the hopes that by doing this, I could get more participation, have the patients be engaged, and also have them walk away with some more information than they would if they were feeling a little bit more distracted or dysregulated. The population that I was working with, I was in the adolescent program, so I was working with those who are 12 to 18 years old. Um, that was important to take into consideration, as well as the fact that they are in multiple groups every day, and these groups vary greatly in size. I had groups as large as 16 and as small as 4. But walking into these groups, regardless of size and age, I did notice a definite trend with all of them, and that was that pattern of dysregulation and difficulty focusing in. As I was beginning to look at some of the research, I found an article that quoted, "Emotion regulation is increasingly viewed by contemporary researchers as a foundation for well being and positive adjustment throughout the lifespan." I thought this was important to include because if I'm able to get the patients to be a little bit more regulated, it may be something that can really help them. With all of that being taken into consideration, I came up with the idea of using mindfulness. Mindfulness is a very hot topic nowadays, but I really think it's for a great reason. According to this article here, mindful adolescents were generally less likely to experience increased levels of state rumination and dysphoric mood following the occurrence of stressful events. This research really shows that patients who have more practice with mindfulness may not only be benefiting them in the group setting, but also as they move out of the program and into life. I believe that this implementation will be beneficial to the adolescent patients, if only for the fact that actively participating and practicing skills helps them to become more second nature and more likely to be used. In order to see if this would work, I first had to look at the research supporting CBT based groups with the adolescent population. And the research I found supported that yes, CBT based groups are effective with the adolescent population. One of them specifically talked about how they are impactful for adolescents who are dealing with depression. And since a large portion of the population at Alexian in the adolescent program are dealing with depression either on their own or comorbid with other symptoms, I concluded that CBT is appropriate for the population at hand. Now that I know that CBT will be effective, I needed to look at mindfulness based practices with adolescents and the effectiveness of those. The research concluded again that yes, mindfulness is impactful for the adolescent population. These two studies here both looked at how mindfulness can help coping with a dysphoric mood state and also reduce rumination. So if I were to use this with the patients, it's possible that over time they could use this to improve their mood, come out of a negative mindset, and also reduce some rumination that they may be dealing with. This next slide is a continuation of the research that supports mindfulness and its effectiveness working with the adolescent population. The first one kind of also showed that it increased self-compassion, and so I thought that was interesting to note. The last article at the bottom here kind of talks about how mindfulness training can complement and strengthen other approaches. So it's possible that by implementing a mindfulness minute, I could be setting the patients up to really engage more and get more out of the therapeutic and psychoeducational groups that I'm running. Now that I know the research backs up this idea that I had, I came up with some ways that I could implement this. Ideally, I would invite the patients into the group room, have them put their things down, sit down comfortably in their seat, and engage in one of these activities. These include 3-minute breathing, 5 senses, 3-step mindful exercise, loving kindness minute, and stop technique. All of these could be done in less than 5 minutes and really set the group up to be successful. In conclusion, the research shows that CBT-based therapeutic interventions are effective in treating adolescents. Mindfulness falls under cognitive therapy, and it was also shown to improve mood and reduce rumination in several studies with the adolescent population. All of this coming together, it is safe to conclude that implementing a mindfulness minute in the beginning of my psychoeducational groups may be effective. It'll give the patients a minute to ground themselves, focus on their breathing, and bring themselves into the current moment. And this may help them to be ready and focused and able to participate in my group. Here are the references that I used for my presentation. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.